Good morning. Good morning, everybody. Namaskar. This is Engineer Suraj Singh speaking from Bharat, India on this day, October 9, 2021, Saturday. Quality, important item, very important item, and safety, also very important item. As usual, in continuation to previous talks, which I left behind at some point, to continue that one from that point onwards, and title being same as in last video, civil field engineering life, engineers, quality and AnnexSL, SHE designs, construction methods, contracts, organizations, communication, coordination, why behind quality of standard material. Talk continues in same spirit, in same seriousness, because seriousness is very important issue. Certificates like Chartered Engineer India, like fellow membership of Institution of Engineer India, must lead to certain requirements, and all such certificates and other certificates that indicate competency or academic basis or experience must prove in field what is your capacity. If these can't prove in field what is capacity, then defined quality systems can not work. Why should someone suffer? Why should some public suffer? Because of bad quality? And reason is that in engineering, quality is very important. In life, quality is important, very important. But ignorance is lacking attitude. You can say less determination, or you can say probably less commitment, degree of commitment. In combination, all these factors work, and we get involved, and really it is very surprising that we can't move like that. Quality has to be obtained, that is a requirement. It cannot be considered as a privilege or redundancy. It's an integral part of every product, every work. No need explain or tell again and again that quality criteria must be complied with. And in case it is not complied with, product cannot be called product of standards or standard product. That product is subject to condemnation, is subject to rejection. Why should I accept something like that? There is no way without quality we can move. It has to be accepted, and if situation is different, we have to take care of that as engineers. It may be manufacturing stage, it may be processing stage, it may be construction, whatever stage is involved. Quality has to be considered very carefully. Safety, health and environment issues require to be considered very carefully. There can be huge problems, sheer problems, if we do not concentrate on safety, health, environment and quality issues. For some it may be nothing, for some it may be everything, but for work and every activity and every part of activity must be considered with quality issue. It's not new that quality is a requirement. It has been from very beginning of profession. It has been requirement in every sector of life. Life must have a quality, health must have a quality, living standards must have a quality, products that we use must have a quality. All products must be quality products. But why I am talking now is different because of experience. It must be, we must have quality, but do we have? That question we should ask. Ask every day, every moment, every time. Because issue is such, and this requirement is such that without fulfilling it, we cannot move forward in a successful or in a positive track. In a track that leads to system, which leads to standards, and which leads to realization of your money, realization of products, performance, and you can say its significance lies in fact of controls. We can say quality control, we can say safety, health and environment control, and we can say controls over control, but destiny must be there. We must get destiny. We must reach to destiny. And that destiny is whatever restrictions, whatever limits we put on achieving, those must be achieved. Every product is different, every product's quality is different, and we have to understand that point. Whatever is specified, we must get into. Whatever is given, we must get into. We must take care of that, only then we can move forward. Otherwise, it's not possible. It must be taken care of when we do something, or else we lose. Quality, designs, construction, methods, contracts, organizations, communication, coordination, these are all string components. One is failure without other. If you don't take care of safety, quality is failure. If you don't care of safety, life is failure. If you don't care of quality, then you can say system is failure. If you don't care of designs, then construction is failure. If you don't care of construction, we can say organization fails. And if you don't care of communication and coordination, everything fails. Well, these points are really very much worryful, concernable. Why all this? Yes, question should be raised by everybody. And why we do not get quality? What is the reason behind that? If you think on that as a person, as a subject, as a citizen, or as a professional, you may get some answer. You may say someone, very common person, say, oh, they don't care, they are careless, they are robbers. Likewise, these terms we get. Well, I don't think that something concrete should be there until we can say it is only attitude, what I understand, attitude of individuals that count a lot. Because material is used, time is used, human resources are used, equipment are used, process is used. Everything is used in production, in manufacturing, in construction. I don't think something is not used. There is misconception, I understand. Yes, there may be quality lag due to something else also, but in major works, in major products, in construction, it is attitude that is involved. Individuals that are involved, there are variation in classes, in qualifications of individual. At top level, what sort of people we put in, employ, or at bottom, what sort of people are there. There is a complete variation range, and that range can affect work, but person at top is considered absolutely responsible of quality. In line you can say frontline engineers like production engineer, site engineer, manufacturing engineer, floor engineer. These people work directly with persons with human resources involved for direct construction or direct work. They must be serious. Attitudes of those people must be clear. They must have certain concrete destination. We have to achieve this. And if those people don't achieve those, means there is something wrong in their attitude or in their performance. It must be taken care of. Who shall take care of this? These are not independent individuals, they depend on organizational top tiers. It is responsibility in quality system that everybody has to take responsibility. Person at top who may be given whatever designation, that should hold key to quality. That key lies with that person. That person's duty is to train from time to time everyone in that. And that is very important point. These certificates won't work otherwise. These certificates got no meaning otherwise. If we cannot ask ourselves what is problem, we cannot search ourselves what is problem. Safety, health, environment, compliance is very important. Otherwise, we cannot work successfully. We know it. And quality has to be complied with. That also we know. Quality has to be complied with defined or specified or stated requirements within ambit of work designed valid specifications and quality ranges in elaborations. And we should understand that. We understand that too. No quality is unlimited, no quality is lowest and no quality highest. It depends on variation and technology keeps on moving and research keeps on going. More and more types of products come in and technologies come in and we have to handle all those. We cannot simply jump on and say no, every car is same, every engine is same. No, there are different type of engines, there are different type of ratings, there are different types of speeds, and that work. We have to take that point into consideration. Signals are zero again. Again, I am fed up with this Airtel. Believe me, both video and audio 00, and I think maybe this video dies soon. I can't say. 2 fps framing very low and video is very low and again it is high, means there is some problem. There is no constant quality control in Airtel signals transmissions and it is felt every day. Sometimes it's very high, sometimes it's zero. What to do? That's why I say attitude of personnel specification must be defined and it requires to be defined and it should be defined and it is defined in every work. Now I'm talking of some specific community and that is civil engineering. Main aspect of development lies in domain of civil engineering. I'm not saying that's exclusive but that's inclusive one because civil engineering cannot move on its own alone but it starts alone. It starts alone from scratch and then it imports electrical, mechanical and various other branches of engineering and also it imports all products from various vendors located within nation and from overseas. It requires depending on what sort of project it's moving with. Civil engineers are responsible for development and development projects. In fact, quality should come from civil engineers. Civil engineer, which I can say sometimes very basic engineer, though civil engineer is just a term, but let us say real engineer, who has to start from scratch, from soil, from dirt, from dust, from weeds, we have to start with, from garbage we have to start with, from original surveys we have to start with. It's very elementary work. Sometimes I feel what sort of engineering it is, that we have to start from forests, we have to start from there, and there is no life involved in this. Every such field person has to suffer. Designs, of course, are different, but designs can be done only when field information is available. Civil engineering is very elementary field of engineering. It involves every point in engineering, from such a scratch to further rise on projects and then deliver finished projects. A long chain, a long sequence, a long train of activities involving designs, involving construction, involving commissioning, involving operations. It goes on unlimited, endless. And whatever products in forms of structures, in form of buildings, in form of infrastructure, we deliver, civil engineers deliver, that keep on for long journey. For example, plants, facilities, buildings, houses, railways, sewer lines, water lines, roads, all these are such products that do not work only for a month or for a year or for 2 years. This work for whole life, in fact, to be very frank. So you can say civil engineering is a field where long-term consideration must be given. It's not simple for a couple of years. When you buy a product, okay, it's for a couple of years and it works for 2 or 3 years, or maximum 5 years, and then it must be changed. In civil engineering, it is different. We have to rely on these facts. Civil engineering learning is also not easy, because it's based on partly imaginations and partly physical activities. Imagination in a sense that we have to conceive designs, we have to conceive what we have to do, because we do not have anything we have to think on. Civil engineering is such a subject which is thinking based. When we consider theory of structure or designs, we have to imagine something, we have to calculate based on imaginations. And those imaginations can be given in terms of drawings by some professional architect or engineer to someone who is designing, or someone who is going to work on site. And we have to extract out various methods in designs, various methods in construction or based on, depending on expertise of that engineer. We can say otherwise, civil engineering is raw engineering, you can say. It's the prime engineering. It's actually definition of engineering. If you want to know definition of engineering, and that can be whole civil engineering discipline, whole civil engineering domain itself is engineering. It can define engineering and it can import other fields of engineering into this. It's not a question that we can define something. The question is we have to adopt something. We have to adopt culture of people so that it is given, is included in certain structures. The structures are important in civil engineering. Now, structural sciences in engineering have been advanced. There was a time when only stones were used in structural engineering. Wasn't somewhere, near to today it is. Well, it has developed. Ultimately, in structures, what we use naturally delivered raw materials, like rock, like stone dust, like you can say limestone, which is used to make cement, silica, which is itself part of soil, and likewise, water. So civil engineering is composed of various natural materials which are used for production of such civil engineering objects. It's that one. Now point lies in fact that we have to take care of this. How? When I say quality, it has some relation to civil engineering, because other engineering like mechanical, electrical, these products are generally floor products, process floors. There you can say something if automatized and it is defined, I think those go on working accordingly. It depends on what specification you use or you include in those processes. But in civil construction, attitude is very important. Also, attitude is important in every a branch of engineering. You can say what is attitude of a person, what is concept of a person. Means just like we say in our country and maybe in many other countries, oh, this is only in 1 2 millimeter, 5 millimeter, no problem, it works. Or let us say no problem, there's some error, we will manage. Their term is we shall manage, and I call this term as corruption. If somebody says manage it, means manage means what? Generally, this term is abused also. It should be used properly. Management means scientific management. But it is said, okay, manage it. Manage means what? I don't understand. Actual meaning, they are abusing this term. Management, do whatever you want to do. I want result. Means you want good, you want bad, do whatever you want to do. I want result. Means you do whatever way. You go against ethics, you do adopt bad activities, I have to see result. If that is management, I don't call it management. It is manipulation. It is manipulation, it is fabrication, it is corruption. And when we have such circumstances, such environment, we cannot say this is engineering. That is corruption. When we talk of engineering, we talk of use of mind. Use of mind. And use of mind means it is important. You are using mind for preliminary work, or you are using mind for roots, or you are using mind when roots are bad but you expect fruit, taste delicious fruit you expect, and that's not possible. It's very important point to understand in engineering. We always say, we have to design, we have to work, we have to do everything. Construction, everything we have to do. Various elements are involved, as I'm showing you: thinking and concentration, synthesis, certain powers to achieve engineering, and all these are important in that. Ultimately, we have to reach somewhere that we have to solve problems ultimately, and these problem solutions don't mean you degrade yourself or you manage. Quality means reality. You use environment, you use materials, you use health of people, you use machines, you use whatever you want to use and whatever you have to use. It's not want only, whatever is demanded by procedures, whatever is demanded by work to be delivered, and we have to do it. Of course, we say quality. Quality is not a piece of paper. It's not a piece of pencil. It's not a piece of some material. It's a requirement. It's a requirement for product. Product that we want to use demands something, and that demands components of it, ingredients of that, and of course, composition of a person, character of a person, capability of a person who operates to that process, on that process. It may be design work, it may be construction work, or it may be something else. If design is good, construction should also be good. Both are related, both cannot be delinked. We cannot say, okay, I forget design and I can construct. And designer cannot think it's my duty to design, let him do itself. No, both are on same path. Same destination of both is project achievement, project delivery. Designs are very important. Designs give you way what you have to do, and construction is a process that converts designs into physical being, physical presence, and involvements within which are various methods, procedures, materials, resources, working minds, experience, contracts, and structure of organization, structure in safety, health and environment, structure in quality system, structure in construction, structure in planning, structure in quality controls, and likewise we can say Further sections are given in that hierarchy. And most important to operate on this, there are two operators. One is communication operator, another is coordination operator. Both are very, very important, very, very significant as far as performance of work is concerned. Without communication, we cannot speak, we cannot write, we cannot think, we cannot do. Communication is a structure of communication itself. It means you have to make someone else understand what is your mind saying. What your mind says. If I am not able to communicate to someone, there is no meaning of my contemplation, my thoughts remain with me. I have to explain to someone in explicit forms what should be done, what should not be done. That's important point. How it is to be done, how it is not to be done. And that information is not direct. That is also indirect. If I instruct someone, you have to do this. This means I have worked on coordination of that information. How this information came out. That should be coordinated information, not single information. There may be 4 or 5 input in one information, and those input I must have checked. This is clear indication. Only then I can instruct that person. This is a sketch, do like this, or this is method, do like this. Otherwise, I am wrong. That person can do whatever that person wishes. If you ask me how to do this, that person would do according to that person's technological mind. Maybe that is acceptable to you, they may not be acceptable to you. That if you don't clearly instruct, it's not fault of that person, it's your fault. It's duty of every professional engineer or every responsible person who uses those resources. They should be clearly informed. They should be communication or requirement must be given, instructions must be given, and in right time. Not before time is better, and much before is also not better. During working time it should be given, because we cannot expect those people to keep records or know everything. All package of drawings cannot be given to them, only related drawings if they are not engineers. This I want to say, information much reaches to that person who is directly responsible for operating that activity. And that communication, that information which I say coordinated one, is very significant in construction. If reaches in time, when it is due, they do, I think that's best one. Because they won't keep it with them, and when I say they means workers. Keep in mind I'm talking of front workers. Information should reach them through engineer, through supervisor, through foreman, and whoever supervises over them. It's very important. And that approach must come from top. You cannot keep the top, you cannot say top person is not responsible. Ultimately, project is supervised, it is controlled by top person of an organization. That person may not be directly related on site, but that person is responsible for that according to responsibilities in engineering, according to responsibilities of engineer, or responsibilities of owner, or responsibilities of in between, you can say those employees who are key personnel, whose titles may be whatever, but we generally call them organizers or managers. Quality system is framed for involving everyone. It involves not only organization, contracting organization, it involves engineer as well, it involves owners, and also it involves customers. Not directly, indirectly, because whatever is done for customer, is done for end user ultimately. Work is done for them who shall use it. So quality system is very extensive, and quality control is a part of quality system. Safety, health, environment is also a part of quality system indirectly. Quantity is also a part of quality system. You can say quality system covers all aspects. That's why we call it system. It is responsible to control whatever resources we have to employ on whatever project. It is for project that is important, and project means duration of construction or duration of manufacturing. After that project is no more project. It remains no more project. When it comes to a operation mode, once project work is delivered, once contract of construction is discharged, then project description changes to operational unit. Operational unit, I mean to say, if it's a processing plant, then operation comes into picture and construction is finished. It happens to every structure. Even a building we construct, when it is handed over and occupied, occupation certificate is given. You can occupy this, it is safe for your occupancy. That is what is termed as completion based occupation. Work is physically completed and you are entitled to use this safely. It shall serve your purpose for which it was desired, it was planned. This indicates that work, whatever has been done, is according to requirements, is according to drawings, according to contract conditions, and according to technical specifications. That's where quality system defines itself. It doesn't pinpoint something, but it pinpoints everything. And that's where I say quality system is your own system. It's not ISO 9000 system. ISO only prescribes principles or detailed procedures that can be adopted, guidelines you can say, but ultimately it is your headache, organization headache, contractors headache, engineers headache, owners headache, all involved on those, or manufacturers and industrialists headaches, that they have to chart out what they have to do. That is very important point, and we have to take care of that. If that care is not taken, we can say that problem arises and quality system is jeopardized. And it is because we have to train every engineer, every organizer, every person who sits in key structure of whatever company, whatever consultancy, whatever commercial organization, in such a tier that everybody's responsibility is defined. And that can be indicatively said a job is described, we can say job description. And we have to keep them updated. Otherwise, just like standards are also revised. It was sometimes long before, but in 2008 there was one system, 9008. Then it has been revised to 2015. Of course, there is something up and something down. Some responsibilities have been augmented. Responsibilities have gone to those who were not at all responsible in past one. And therefore, you can say, depends on feedback, depends on research, how best we can do it. But it's not only system that can operate itself. System is composed of individuals, and that is more important part. If individual's attitude is not affected, is not modified, is not amended, or is not trained, systems fail. System, when we say, it's a structure. A structure works only when all parts of structure work successfully in unison. And that's what we can say integrity of structure, equilibrium of structure. You can say a path which can lead to success or fruitful working of that project. That system, it may be building. A building system works only, that is structural system, not finishing I am saying. When we say building, these days we call framing, structural framing. This can be from foundations to whole structure. Every part of a structure, every component of it may be foundations, it can be Graded slab, it can be columns, beams, slabs, which we generally call, though it is a framing, three-dimensional framing, yet we call them by name, by elementary names. And even if one column fails by chance, let us say, or some beam fails, it can lead to jeopardy of structure and collapse of structure. We have to keep that in mind. It's like our body, if say my one arm breaks, I'm gone, means I'm broken, I can't be stable health wise, because until I reinstate that part, I cannot say I'm fit. Same applies to structure, and structures are not automatically born. These are constructed. Before that, these are designed, and every force is considered into that structure. Vertical force, horizontal force, inclined forces, this type of force, that type of force, we can say dead action, dead load and live action, and wind force and seismic action, and this action, all these are, if you go, maybe you are engineer, you understand. If you are not engineer, various forces are included, and analysis are conducted, and after that analysis, understanding, and what analysis questions and what analysis answers, and we have to use in designs. So even if one part fails, means it's very dangerous. We cannot help it. We have to do a lot of research on that, and then only we can retrofit that, if it is retrofitable. Same way is quality system. We have to understand system, what is our requirement. Every organization has its own requirements. There may be 2 persons in an organization, but system can be defined for them. There can be 200 persons, there can be 2,000 persons. There is requirement everywhere. A structure of organization. What is our objective after all? We want to achieve something. We are a design company, or we are a construction company, or we are a sales company, we are a manufacturing company. Whatever we are, we have certain goal, and we have to understand that. If that point is not understood, we cannot do anything. We have to manufacture some item, we have to produce some item, we are in design. Of course, it's also service. Every service is service. We may be in construction. Everywhere there is a focus. We have to define. It's not direct control, we can say. No, it's not isolated control. A system means organization. And organization means every required organization. We have to take into consideration human being. We have to consideration of regarding machines, heavy and light all. We have to take into our consideration some materials required. We have to take into consideration technologies required. We have to take into consideration which focus, which section of society this material is meant for. What is their expectation? Means we have to do a kind of search on that, a kind of reach those people to know what do they expect, and what sort of material on same pattern available in market. We have to compete with them also. So that means structure doesn't mean what plainly we speak about quality system. All these are elementary quality systems. Means if you do not do proper research on them, if you do not understand what we have to do, I don't mean that you keep on thinking always. Means you have to reach some decision, and that decision is important. That's the reason we say when you do system is very significant part of our approach. And if system is not well understood, what we want to create, I mean design of system itself, you can say. I'm talking of design of system. If we do not have capability to understand our path, our goal, we cannot devise a system. And if it's just device for sake of devising, and we have to start production, well, I think it won't work. It will be in stray order. It shall not be organized, and which do not account for. A pattern must be understood. It can be whatever material, particularly in construction. System is based on designs, and design system is also based on design systems. Means, of course, designing is a system, procedures are there, everything is there. Design is not a big issue as far as systems are concerned, though there is no approach, fixed approach, but ultimate is that we have to think what we have to design. Now I'm talking quality, and quality means, of course, designs are available qualitatively. I cannot say no. Designs are always good. These are based on various factors, various codes, various procedures, and past experience. And designs, I'm not directly saying that there are engineers on them, they work individually, they work in groups. And designs are, you can say, sometimes good, sometimes very good, sometimes extraordinary, and sometimes not worth. I'm not saying when it's not worth, it's not design, that's also design. But it should be convenient for those people, for those workers who actually work on those designs. Easiest design, if say details are easy, it doesn't mean design is simple. Sometimes we provide simple system of structure and we think it's simple in calculation. No, it's not simple in calculation. It is all same, but ultimately what we have to see, what delivery shall be made physically. When you buy a building, you should know it should be according to requirement for you. If it doesn't satisfy your requirement, you will not use it, you will sell it. System design is very important. You are going to invest money, don't forget. And this money shall be paid by that customer who uses at end. And you cannot overload that person also to pay more and more. You have to think of that person also. At the same time, when you think of your profit, you have to think for your customer too. That your customer gets what customer pays for. This is, you can say, kind of very simple mechanism, very simple equation. What money I pay for something, I should get back that in return. So I feel pleased that at least my money hasn't gone waste. I have been given what I paid for. This point is very important. You have to keep in basics of principles. Whatever commodity you buy, if you get bad material, it doesn't work for you, you lose something. Just like you buy vegetables and you think, no, this is fresh vegetable, it's good for me, I buy this one. And sometimes that vegetable comes rotten one, septic one, and you don't feel happy. So systems formation, systems design is very significant. Here I am talking of contracting general or particularly concrete works, building works. When I say RCC building construction, this means RCC is major element which is related to structure. And there are other elements in that which relates to finishes items or in between finishing and RCC, like blockwork wall, brickwork wall, flooring, and very other items. These are generally, we call them finishing items, because this keeps on finishing further and further, and the structure is concealed within those finishes. But the structure performs itself. You cannot conceal it thoroughly or forever. That organization's design is excellent if it is done. There are involved contractors, there are involved subcontractors, and various classes of engineers are involved in all areas. In designs, a group of engineers is involved. Sometimes individual engineer can also do. It is architectural design, it is structural design, it is services designs, like electrical services, mechanical services, plumbing, plumbing services, and you can say whatever others, like gas services, air conditioning services, earthing, lighting services, all part of electrical, of course. And then you can say decorative services, furnishing services. All these are involved if it's a major construction, lift service, or someone else, we we use services from innumerable vendors, innumerable subcontractors or labor workers. We have to think for everybody how they relate or shall relate to this organization. And that's where, you know, absolute responsibility lies on shoulders of heads of those companies. Heads are, of course, some proprietor or some owner, but I'm talking of that head whose executive head. Executive responsibility lies on that person. You may call that person a kind of engineer, not in a sense of practical engineer, but in the sense of organization engineer that takes care of responsibility of that organization. Whatever designation could be chairman, could be president, could be CEO, whatever else. It doesn't matter to me. Matter to me is about responsibilities and obligation. We must understand it very well. We cannot simply fix, say, oh no, what I'm saying is right and this point is right. Every project, it may be small or big, ultimately it is handled by individuals and group of individuals and then group of groups. You can say sometimes they call, there are so many engineers in this organization, so many workers in that organization, and they must produce something. Production is very important, delivery is very important, but without quality element, we cannot call it product, we cannot call it good product. So I had talked about planning. We are on focus a lot on this. We talked of scope, that was clause 1. What is the scope of an organization? We talked of normative references as clause 2, means whatever references are there. Then we talked of some other mentions, you can say terms and definitions of various authorities, various powerful people and various references. Then we talked of context of organization, what organization it. So that's what also I'm talking now. And also we talked of something as usual, as I said, leadership, which is number 5. That is leadership. A long talk we made. Leadership. What is actual meaning of leadership? Then we talked of planning, and that is very important point. Planning here, that comes in, and it is very important. I think it's gone back. I want a little more. I've gone back. It has gone back. So sometimes pages are not correctly handled. Leadership. Where's planning then? It was support system, I think. Let me see if it's gone. Maybe page is running so fast we cannot pick it. Planning is here, yes. That's what I'm talking of, planning. Now planning, when we say, I already explained, but we have to refresh again. Planning is a process. First you have to understand what is to be done, and then just to chart out, program when to do and how to do and in what time to do. These are very important points, very basic points. We have to understand this. Planning has many categories in projects. As I said, many levels of plans. One plan is already given on contract itself. You can't change that. And in contract data, when we see in construction contracts, lump sum fixed price is given, performance bond value, or you can say tender bond value, all these are given, date of start is given, and date of completion is given. I am referring to that part, date of start and date of completion. That itself is a planned arrangement. Means it was logical or not logical, it is logical, and that's different. But that gap is defined. That gap, which can be of months or which can be of years, depending on size of project. Means that is plan information number one. Cost is there, of course, and that cost is a budget for you. What percentage of profit we have to take from that, and what percentages we have to invest, we have to spend on that project. That is to be charted out. That is another issue. But here what we are talking of construction, we are talking of time, we are talking of cost, and we are talking of quality, and we are talking of all those resources which will support this triangular system. Cost to be spent is not easy to calculate. Time to be used is already given. This is maximum. You can deliver this project within this time. If you delay, means that is not acceptable. This point is very clear. Everybody understands this. This is plan information, that this is your price and this is your time. And this is our document that gives you requirements, which can be called conditions and specifications. So you can say starter information, running information, and end information. Every information is given. And these information are required. All these information shall be used for purpose of charting out our plan. What we thought at bid stage may not be same here, because now we have to work, we have to deliver, and this is a contract. This is not a children game. Responsibility lies here, liability lies here, law applies here, codes apply here, documents apply here, and all responsibilities, obligations, competencies, whatsoever, all come into play on contract. Therefore, it is very, very useful, very powerful to know about contracts. If you don't understand meaning of contract, meaning doesn't mean translation of term. No, I'm not saying that. Interpretation, I can say what you understand by terminology contract. It's a document, that's true. It's a pool of information, that's also true. But its real meaning is that you have to work for some money, and that money is called consideration. We have to do this job. That is our basic duty, because it's our contract. We cannot run away from that. Owner and that company, organization are bound to deliver this project. And if you don't deliver this project as mandated, now it's a mandate. It's not a desire. It's a mandate, because you have agreed by law, you have agreed under law. A document is signed, executed, and both parties are bound. Employer as well as contractor, they are bound for their own responsibilities. Of course, contractor has right to know about from where employers shall finance. That is, of course, an amended provision. In FIDIC itself, FIDIC, it's an organization for contracts. That gives some standards of contract agreements, which can be used for purpose of contracting like this, which we call Red Book. That Red Book is a form of contract, standard format of contract, that is called general conditions of contract. You can say general conditions, FIDIC's general conditions for construction contracts, and that's named Red Book. And there's another book which is used for where designs are also involved. We usually call it EPIC or EPC, Engineering, Procurement and Construction Contract, and that standard book, standard document, is called Silver Book. Likewise, there is White Book, there is Yellow Book, which have different uses, different applications. We have to understand that point. So in this part itself, we are talking of planning. We have already one point, and that is date of start and date of completion. We have no right to change it until both parties agree. No one end can change it, neither employer nor contractor, because date of completion is also a target date from where onwards that project is to be used, and date of start is that you have to start. You can start early also, but you do not delay this, and if you delay start, you have to bear consequences, and those consequences are damages. We call it liquidated damages, LD, and LD is also a very important item, because don't think that it is so easy. It's very difficult item, and it is recovered from contractor if contractor does not comply with date of start and date of completion. Damages are very damaging actually, because what is fun, what is purpose of contract if you have to pay back? I mean to say, your that price is reduced if you do not deliver in time. It can be based on whatever reason you are overloaded on other projects and you cannot augment the strength of your available resources on project. Due to whatever reason you are not expecting any new project. So there may be miscellaneous reasons for that. But ultimately this is LD, and law says, contract says, if you delay, because this is applicable, this is impossible per day. So even 1 day delay of your project, you have to pay that price. You have to pay that price until you get extension of 1 day. And extension is not easy because this is commercial liability. So what we have to say, that planning has to keep all these points in mind. We cannot plan randomly. We cannot plan keeping our eyes and minds closed. We cannot plan anything without knowing contents or scope of work. Which means when we start planning, we should have complete concept of project construction. What work we have to do, how many disciplines are there, what are contents for quantification of every discipline, and we have to of course start thinking on that along with having deliberations with our colleagues who would work on those disciplines. Now it is practical, it's not theoretical. It's a question of doing it. It's not an option. No option now, because we have to deliver project. Option is over. There was option at time of bid. Now it's a binding. That's why we say binding on both partners. Partner is employer and partner is contractor, and non-contractual partners are engineer and third parties. So it's very serious issue. Planning out of these clauses is very significant, because on this basis we know reality of work, we know how much work we have to do, how much expense we have to make, in what money we have to spend, and what shall be balanced for our company's profit, or if we have to lose that also. Liquidated damages are calculated in that sequence, in that consideration. Generally on construction contracts, limit is fixed, a cap is fixed for LDs. It doesn't mean that whatever LD you can define, because if you think contractor is efficient, then there is no question of LD. That person would deliver you, though that person has been scrutinized. We have scrutiny. We've done scrutiny on their contractor, and that's why we elected that one, appointed that one. Otherwise, there's no reason. That person has been competent, that technical submission tells. That person has capability, that credentials tell. And that's why keeping abreast this capacity of person, potential of person or company only has led us to a state that we agree, we entered into contract with that person, and we should rely on that. Of course, we know past records of that organization, contracting organization, and that has convinced us that okay, we can move with that person. So that person should be very, very serious. Serious means sequential serious. Planning is nothing but sequence of activities, sequence of operations, and all components on the project, all components. It is a small project, it's a medium class project, it's mega project. I shouldn't worry about that. Because it's not me directly is going to work on that. A group of people shall work. Responsibility shall be distributed. But company is same. Therefore, head of company, to my understanding, is first responsible person in all disciplines of that project. And when I say all disciplines, means all disciplines are the quantity wise, these work according to disciplinary system, according to engineering system, and quality wise, every discipline should be understood per quality system requirement, per guidelines. Those guidelines may be suitable or new guidelines might be created. And we have to think of that. It's not just blind, I go to BOQ, I just write those items, say, okay, this is done. No, that's not right way. That might be a referral. If you have BOQ, we can say these items have been taken, but in BOQ you may not get complete information, which you can get only from contract data. And that date we have, that date, 2 dates are very important. And based on 2 days, that is date of start of contract or date of commencement and date of completion. This is, you can say, a gap, which we call contract duration. Of course, some maintenance is also added to that one, that is different date, but I am talking of mechanical working or practical working, which leads to mechanical completion or practical completion. That date is our measurable unit, you can say, measurable reference, these dates. And we have to move on that. We have to keep in mind all requirements, mobilization requirement, demobilization requirement, testing and commissioning requirement. All these points we have to set there. This is set back front, this is set. Likewise, we say a kind of zoning. And we know then how many days are left for real work, for completely physical work. That duration is, we can say, our duration, that we are given this time for doing these activities. And that is where root lies in. We have to, generally mobilization is defined as 1 month, testing and commissioning is covered within 2 months. And whatever gap is there, let's say 2 plus 1, 3 months, you take out 3 months from that 24 months project. You can say 21 months we have. If you have 36 months, then you can say, okay, we have 33 months or maybe 32 months. But that is critical period. And that period is very important for us, because during mobilization time itself, we have to finalize our planning, our scheduling, at least in level 1, if not all other levels. It should clearly tell that which to which date to which date, complete all your disciplines are involved, construction of various components, then you can say services related, finishes related, with of course certain overlaps. We have to define as level 1, that's we may say master plan or key plan. that should clearly say that these are our limits. And those limits cover planning actually. There may be various overlaps on various activities, there will be various sequential activities. And likewise, we can say this is critical activity, this is non-critical activity, this is parallel activity. And we have to move like this, and we have to define as much as possible on various levels. Level 3, level 4, likewise. We have to take into consideration all activities of ourselves and activities of subcontractors. And that planning is very complicated, in fact. I'm not talking of formation of bar charts only, but actual requirement, information that sometimes we also forget what we have to do. It's very difficult sometimes when you are there for 1 year or 2 years, 3 years, and hands changes, people come and go, engineers come and go, they leave jobs. A stage comes when it becomes very, very difficult even to understand scope. Sometimes there is no organization on sites. Documents are not packagedly available, means whatever package of documents, you keep on finding where is this, where is that. It happens because of failure in organization. So we have to keep in mind that we cannot even sometimes keep our documents collected, keep our documents assembled, packaged. How can we think of them doing project? Important point it is. If we realize, and if we don't realize, then there's nothing to say about that. We realize, okay, fine, we realize what's wrong with that. We have to realize. It's an important factor we have to realize. We have to understand. We have to understand that point. Planning is not a job of planner only. It's a total job. If we really want to plan, we have to think. And that plan can be very helpful for site people. And it's worth understandable. It should be understandable. This colorful requirement is not understandable. Requirement is dates, activities. If we have charted out all activities on a project, it may be a very big project, but we should have complete conception of that. And when we are in a position that we have analyzed a project requirement, then we have a long list of activities of all those components, all those elements, all those parts of that project that we have to handle during that period. And that is first requirement. This means, as I say, or it is understood, that whatever contract we get, it should be clearly analyzed. Nothing should be left to time. It should be, of course, you must have information when you did bid for this, but maybe that information is now diminished, failed, or there may be some changes input on that information. Some items might have been deleted, some items might have been added, or maybe some changes in designs, or some scope has been taken out. If you had compared to bid time, some scope has been added. This means complete retake of work is required, quantity wise and quality wise both. If we miss quantity, we make a mistake, because it's a voluminous work. Even engineer may not know what was done before, designer may not know, and what were included, what not. They also have to analyze again if they wish to. They want to revise it, they want to do whatsoever. This means we have to understand, to know what is scope of reality. Until we know that for every item, we cannot move further. And we have to give time within that available time, from within that available time, to structural activities, to mechanical activities, to civil activities, to other services activities, and of course all finishes activities. That distribution of time mainly starts with structure, because that is first item on project. That structure is given time. Though cost of structure may not be that high, but time is very considerable spent on structures generally, Major period of construction is covered by structures. Other are machines that are procured. Those do not impact directly on structures. But structural coordination is required for that. Means structure should be ready when these machines arrive on site. It may be lift, it may be, you can say, HVAC unit, package units or chillers or air handling units, or it may be some other machines used directly to install on structures. And we have to keep in mind also that we cannot just store these machines. Purpose of these machines not to be stored. Okay, for few weeks can be, because maybe work is not ready or we cannot install during that stage of some restrictions. So this point must be kept in view, and this is fixes, you can say, service fix first, service fix second, likewise, and for all services. We should know that without services, building cannot function, the structure cannot function. That's very important. And this coordination is exclusively important, particularly for building works, because other fields like road, there is level issue, there is route issue, there is contour issue, but coordination of technical is not very important there, except if some clashes come, say there's culvert passing through somewhere. And also in water resources, different kind of coordination exists. Very complicated, very technical, very systematic coordination. If somewhere a seam is found, that's in buildings, one building, two building, group of buildings or whatever, and also in infrastructural work where utilities are involved, just like in plants, as I said, facility plants, where services dominate also, in addition to equipment, in addition to foundations. So coordination is very requirement there. You can say specific requirement there. Without coordination, nothing will move. And coordination is a part of engineering, technical engineering, practical engineering. Coordination is very important, and coordination means you must have total experience, you must have entire experience. When you coordinate something, you cannot say that I am a civil engineer only, I cannot understand this. You have to understand that also, and if you cannot understand, then they have to take interest in that to understand. And even if you know I am rigid, I don't want this, then you cannot continue in job, because coordination is very important these days. But I have experienced on projects for long that coordination misses actually, and missing of coordination means you keep yourself off information. And if you are interested in coordination, then you have to visit whatever is required again and again, and that information becomes on your tips. That's why planning and coordination, we call it together. It is planning, it is coordination. Just like say design and coordination together, it is a design, this coordination. Means it's up to us how you handle whatever is given to you as your responsibility. Coordination is not given, it is required. Even if you don't want to give to someone, you have to do in that case. And you cannot do it, then you have to give someone. But coordination means knowledge, connections of knowledge, interactions of knowledge, what is available, what is not available, how to handle that. That's why we say coordination doesn't mean superiority also. This means you have to take everybody with you in parallel as well as in sequence, and you have to mount successfully. Coordination means ordinates at same level, they work together. Or you may call it peerful arrangement. It doesn't matter which organization you are from and which organization other guys from, as far as one project is concerned, and that is goal of everyone. Yes, it is also true that every time you cannot find coordination based electrical engineers or those who are their coordinators. It's not necessary they be present with you all time, but work presence must be shown, and we have to inform them, they have to inform us in exchange, and that can be done by communication. So you can say coordination is a technical requirement, and also very important requirement that can impact on budget. Also you can say communication is an integrity requirement. Without communication we cannot reach someone, and someone cannot reach us. That point is very, very significant to understand. Planning is not just the process of producing some bar chart. No, planning is not that. Planning is to understand project, conceive whole project. And that's the reason that planner has to visit that person who's going to do this job. It may be project leader, it may be project engineer, it may be, you can say, site leader or site person who has to do this. So that person knows almost top of everybody as far as construction is concerned. That person has gone through drawings or is going through drawing. If he's not going through drawings, and that person has to study all drawings and demand for more drawings if these are required, because it is construction contract. We cannot do anything ourselves until it is emergency. So we cannot leave to chances, and we have to have some replacing type persons. That person can be replaced and can start somewhere else. That's where point lies in. So planning is something very intellectual work. Once you chart out yourself, all activities, group of activities, their time schedules individually, so that clashes are avoided and sequence is avoided. Right sequence is included, but wrong sequence avoided. And of course, when you are able to chart out those activities in form of MS Project or in format of Primavera or in your own format or whatever we have, we can put in that format, and it will be seen that activities are there. Master plan activity, or where all bar charts are available there. And not only bar charts, it's also quantity that you have to include it. You have included, in fact, not to include it. That quantity is also marked as much as possible as you have worked out or it's available. Those many items, maybe many 100 items sometimes, could be, depending on all components are available on that project and which we are responsible for. And those must be worked out quantitatively, and we have to define quality of that. It's a definition of quality that works, and we have to define precisely what you have to do. So I understand that point is very important, and you shall understand also. Planning is no joke, what I can say. It's very important professional work, and we have to, in fact, say planning work in fact starts with when project charter is open for certain bids. So what it says in points for consideration is risk-based thinking to front, get it. Organization pinpoint risks. One, we have to define risk and opportunities, and then we have to resolve them. And how, who shall, what shall, when all this is be addressed, that point we have to check, because sometimes risks are long term, but one time comes we solve them. But it should have impact on project construction. This approach replaces preventive actions and reduces risk for corrective actions, and we have to take corrective actions. So we can say communication is very important for this. Now we go to, you can say, in general we are talking, I've talked it already. We have to consider, when we say risk, it is something we want to, don't want. Nobody wants risk, but you have to. In fact, those people who are happy with risks, those people who don't mind risks, I think those are efficient people. Those can be called experienced people. They don't mind risks. Okay, we'll see. Means they have confidence built up. I can handle this risk. Risk is risk only till time we do not resolve it. Resolve it means we have to understand it. What is the cause of this? And if you understand cause of this, there is, I think, no problem in solving that. Once we understand cause of risk, and that cause to know, really It is very important. There can be one cause, there can be two causes, there can be any cause. We know cause, and if we know solution, we can get it. And only experienced persons don't worry about that. Sometimes they know it in advance that this is a risk, and they have solution for that. I think you are clear what I mean to say. These risks should be covered before construction is done. And if you do construction including these risks, it may cause problems. If you eliminate these risks, then it is a solution. Every leader is experienced. If he is not experienced, you cannot call that person leader. And it's not only academics that helps you. More than that on projects, experience helps you, pragmatism helps you, common sense helps you. Why should we worry about risk? Risk is everywhere. It exists in life. Everywhere we handle it, but we don't record it. We don't say, oh, I got this help and it's over. It happens. But because it is factor of contract, this will impact us indirectly. If we don't care it now, it becomes a duty of that planner either to project this risk or to solve. Planner can also solve that risk. It's not necessary. Planner is an engineer. A scheduler is a qualified engineer. It's not just a bar chart operator. No. Everywhere it exists and we have to solve it. What is fun? What is requirement of experience? It's a question. Why do we need experience? We need experience for solving such types of problems, such types of issues, risks type. It's not a miraculous solution. It is expected. Risks are expected, that's why. It's a kind of difficulty, you can say. Otherwise, a risk is nothing but some difficult portion, and that portion has to resolve. It may be risk during procurement. It may be risk during, procurement of materials, or it may be risk on site due to some accident. It may be risk that our machines are broken, we don't have continuous arrangement to repair them. And there are other risks also. Metals are not available, specified metals not available, or some other obstruction that can stop our work, public requirement, or whatever risk is there. We have to change vendors and it can cause problem. Vendors, there are many vendors and we have to sometime deal with what is asked for. Risk means something that can cause a problem and we have to find solution for that. For all those issues which are not solved already, those are solved are not going to cause any specific problem, except that our failure of organization imposes upon us. Actually, this is organization failure. It may be site organization, it may be other organization. Organization failures leads to failure. This means organization means individuals. I think machine failure cannot disturb any project because machine can be repaired, and these are repaired, regularly repaired or serviced, but humans are not repaired and serviced. Where risk lies in? Every individual must have capacity for a work that's given to that person. And that capacity absence means everything is absent. Risk-based planning is very important, and that's where we are talking. It's again I say, we should know as a planner how shall work be done. That is first information, first requirement. A planner knows what problems would appear during this concrete work, during these other works, and that planner must have gone through provisions of contract, if not in details, at least to some extent. Quantification can be verified, that's not a big issue. Of course, it can take some time. Or even project size can give you an idea after going through all details of drawings and specifications what cost one item you have to pay for. We have to buy all resources and do that item. That's what is important, and we have to spend money on that. Nobody can deny this fact. So risk-based planning is real planning where we can cover risks. Of course, hazards we cannot know. That can also be known in some cases, but in general, hazards are different. I'm talking of obstructions, and risks are obstructions. There will be many points in that situation that we have to understand. We have to take some examples here, and we will just contemplate on those. But remember, these are not exact examples. This is reference only I got from some project, but there can be whatever else you can say, whatever else. Planning is an art. Planning is determination. Planning is commitment. Every planner likes that this should move according to schedule, but we can plan anytime. It depends on others how this plan shall work. You have just drawn it, you have calculated everything, and you reflected on that plan. But this plan should go to site, let people understand it, and then work it. But it doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. It may be no problem. Now we have to understand our planning, and we have also to include problems that we expect from that plan. As I said, objective of this project is known, title of project is known, contents of projects are being worked upon. Now it may be different. Now we say business process bases are considered and resolved by top leaders, while site-based risks are dealt with site representatives, depending on each risk item evolving in during works or prior to works commence with. Examples for certain risks could be as mentioned hereinafter. Let us say site is not clear. Site is not clearly located due to coordinates not explicitly defined. It's very, very, local risk which requires definition, but it is not defined. Let's assume. So site is not clearly defined or located due to coordinates not explicitly defined, which requires immediate resolution by coordinating with relevant authorities to locate design or plant coordinates. Sometimes what happens, due to security reasons, real coordinates are not given. Relative coordinates are given which do not apply in their plant, but somewhere else. And this is due to secrecy, no problem. Ultimately, we also, whatever reference we have, initial setting out shall be done according to those coordinates, which are real one. But for construction purpose, a reference is given, but you assume this one as coordinate northing easting, and you can this label here as 100 or some else, and from this relative definition you assume this 100, find all other labels. Likewise, this is here our maintenance system of that, maintenance of quality, maintenance of system, maintenance procedures, you can say. This means information is important. There are so many issues that can be related to that. And those are, I'm just explaining to you in titular form, not going to explain that thoroughly. And that is, site is located but some issues exist for giving its clearance. So it may not be handed over to contractor successfully, either in part or in full, which required attention by engineer and contractor to operate relevant contract clause to coordinate with statutory or other bodies for a resolution in case it relates to those bodies. Whereas risk relates to other factors, engineer and contractor should work jointly in collaboration with many live services which require detailed investigation and later either relocation or relocation or diversion, which detailed survey must be done either by contractor self or by certain competent agency. Otherwise, appears situation from record drawings obtained from statutory bodies, which assistance should be extended by engineer and thereafter. Application should be made to relevant individual authorities, involved authorities, to either remove that service if no more required to serve vicinity or to divert that service depending upon what authority decides. Time. Information required from client is not available in time, which can contribute wastage potential work hours. Avoid which time wastage due to contractors should in writing be conducting meetings in person down to obtain required missing information or clarification. Site surveys are not conducted in time due to non-availability of site exploration agency, vendor, which must be conducted by appointing surveying agency, duly approved by engineer so that professional reporting related to geographical and geotechnical be made for review and approval by engineer. Site soil exploration is not carried out in time per schedule due to non-availability of site exploration agent, vendor, which should be expedited if contract constitutes this requirement so that its adverse impact to delay foundations and thereby works on substructure. Or you can say architect delays issue of required drawings, to avoid which delays close coordination between engineer and architect be conducted by efforts of contractor if possible, in addition to formally writing to engineer and architect. Subcontractors' proposals are not submitted by contractor in scheduled time, which must be submitted in time defined in case relevant vendors have been finalized by contractor, or else this issue being extremely significant, all attempts should be made in person by leader, project manager to chart out complete strategy so that possible, or else all works shall delay automatically. Curriculum vitae related to key personnel are not proposed by contractor for approval for schedule, which must be presented by submission to the engineer at beginning of contract, if feasible, and should feasible or else should be submitted at an earliest opportunity so that engineer may conduct respective interviews of key personnel to ensure their fitness for deployment on project job. Construction services engineers delay issues related to allied drawings which must be corrected with by adopting foregoing paragraph mentioned resolutions. So that after approvals of subcontractors, all impending submissions could be made expeditiously. These are certain Few points means these are not all points, and there can be many more points which are involved on practical operation of contract. What is contract actually, as I defined already, and these are problems we are contemplating on. And these problems are not one-handed problem, both-handed problem posed by contractor and problems posed by engineer and problems posed by owner itself and some other reasons, or there could be some other reasons like unexpected evidence or force measure. Now, a very significant point is that yes, contractor has its liabilities, contractor got contractual responsibilities, contractual obligations. Every point is acceptable. Every point is acceptable. But also, we should not forget that employer has a responsibility first to help contractor wherever contractor is not in a position to directly act, where employer or engineer is in a position to help contractor, and helping contractor means helping employer, helping land user, helping consumer. That point also is very important. We cannot simply leave everything to contractor and come back. I have given a job, do it. But I should know that that job is not a part of that contract, possibly. So if that's not a part of that contract, that contractor should be held for that removal of risk. First risk comes is if you don't pay to contractor in time. After all, it is a contractor. Don't expect that contractor has money always. Payment to contractor according to contract conditions must be made in time. You know, it's very important point if you pay in time. Means from your mind that car abusing is gone. I have to take this car and use it. That point is eliminated. We have to understand this fact. Payment to contractor must be made in time. That is very much requirement. Whatever contract says, it should be paid for in that time. There was a time when it was written, contractor shall be paid in reasonable time, but there was no definition of reasonable time. That should not happen. Contractor is working also for payment. It's not because contractor would not get food next day if it's not paid. Contractor has to pay to its employees, its personnel. Contractor has to clear hire charges. Contractor has to pay to vendors from whom material is bought, and all other expenses that contractor made, one has to pay somewhere. It has to pay back interest to bank. Likewise, there are miscellaneous type of expenses that contractor has to do. And it is you, engineer, who has to realize this fact. It is also employer to realize this fact, because it is ultimately owner's project. It's owner's property. So whatever is spent on this, whatever valuation or bill that is submitted and recommended by engineer, an employer should not waste time on making that action, making that payment. Payment is a clause which should be honored. I have seen many organizations of contracting in countries like Gulf CC nations, Saudi, Qatar, and many more. There was a time that money was held on, the cloth was not respected for which collected payments, and then our area where we expect someone, this can be included. So money is very important factor, not exclusively important, but practically it should be. After all, contractor cannot get money for your job. So what says, construction work contract payment are not released in scheduled time from client. which must be followed up once valuation statement is made and approved by engineer. Since payment certificate, approved payment certificate may assist contractor to source bank for further release of funds for project activities. So this is root point where support must be given. I realize if those people who cannot understand this point, they themselves are responsible for delaying project, delaying completion. This is a very important part, and it should be clearly defined in contract rather than hide it. Within this period of certification approval, payment shall be transferred to their account. Very simple it is. But simple thing is easy always, that's not, as I said earlier, every simple objective is not easy to be realized. And sometimes complicated objectives are realized because many minds work on that. And if those factors are not realized, everybody suffers, contractors suffer, and owner suffers. And of course, those who are involved, they suffer. That's tragic. I should say that. Now, procedures also are very important. Payment is one part, that is absolute part, but also procedures. When we take up construction projects for construction, you can say, I'm saying construction because this contract is for construction, not for designs. So we can say that there is a sequence of activities again during mobilization period itself and during up to time when some material is to be used. Whatever materials we use include on projects, we cannot do them without formal approval from engineer involved and responsible government is involved or someone else is involved. That involvement is very much practical, and that says that you have to, this is date, it is given. This is date according to our schedule, which date can come into another level 3 or level, whatever level you plan it accordingly, that we have, this is completion date of this activity and this is start date of this activity. I am talking of details. Those dates are to be honored, like date of birth is important, then date of joining school is important, date of leaving school is important, and these points can give you better idea about planning. Duration which you fix in, you have to consider strength of crew that shall be deployed on that activity, and that constant must be constant. It is no meaning today I need 100 carpenters, tomorrow I need 105. We shall, you can say, level that information. We shall level that strength for many months to come. As I said, say for 1.5 years your structure has to move. Or 1.5, say 18 months you have to work on a structure. And this 18 months should be uniformly done. That is better. I mean, you should have strength available on site that can work every day in that scope, marginal areas up to evening, and then they come back. It's not difficult. Once you know quantity, once you know requirement, then you can mark bar chart. That bar chart gives you total information, and every information can be entered into that. Date of discharge, date of day before yesterday, and then date of Sunday, Monday, like that. I mean to say, you have to count dates. Every day is important. When we say we have to buy this material, we have to install this material, means which day we have to install that material, and much before that, we should procure that material. Only then you can install if material is available. And if material is not available, what shall you do? So procurement of material is very important. Likewise, procurement of equipment is important. We define it as, we have to submit one schedule that's called material status report, that is material approval and procurement report. Material approval or reasons for no approval, and also then quantity of project objective of this item, and if we want to retreat it, can we do that? This is very small consideration, very small point, but it's very important point, because on contracts we cannot use material to our choice. Yes, materials can be to our proposal. That proposal which you produce, it's your duty to first make sure whatever is required in your contract documents, this proposal operates that or defines that. Really important it is. We call it material submission, and we also call it parallel to this is drawing submission. Material approval process, you can call it material approval process, and you also call it drawing approval process. We call it, very important, we name it, material submissions are delayed by contractors. Why we fail there? In doing submission of materials in time, may have very reasons. Of course, commercially people will give you reasons. I agree with that also, that these are commercial reasons. But you think, is that enough time to handle that at this stage? Delivery of material cannot be accepted. It's not a question of happiness or pleasure, it's a question of requirement. Material submissions are delayed by contractor, which is not a pleasing state. Yet it happens because contractor's purchase section keeps trying various vendors, and that's nothing wrong. Keeps trying various vendors for equivalent specification and discount delivery price, but such delays should be avoided so that accumulative delays of the whole project be prevented. It's so simple to say, I don't want to use material that is specified. I want to bring an alternative for that, so that its quantity speed and quality speed may be better than previous one. It can be done, but why? If you have specified material, you may complain it's expensive. But what expensive really it is if you compare to other material? So that is also a understanding, or there's also a requirement that alternative material is better or this material itself is better. Same applies to drawing submissions. There's a time for drawing to start work with. It must be approved by that time, and that time is also defined, and it's your definition. It's not contractual definition, it's a contractual work. You are defining time. This is your own clarification, your own calculation, what time you spend on that item. Drawings are very important for project, and drawings means those drawings we shall use for work, not all drawings. Drawings that shall be used for work, we generally convert these scheme drawings or contract drawings, particularly in case of building services, into shop drawings or working drawings. Shop drawings and working drawings. Shop drawings are those which are used in shop for purpose of processing, for purpose of manufacturing something, and working drawings are those are issued based on drawings that you got through for work, and this came from engineer, and we have to wait for what they say for instructions. All that happens. So material submission, drawing submission are two parts which can delay project, and this has happened. This happens. Though it's not professional, it should not be accepted, but maybe contractor has a problem of its identity or its reputation in market, and that contractor expects that someone will do it, and someone will do it also not an answer, because you are then losing your own capacity. Your own capacity should not go as contractor. You should know what is required and when is required, and if you provide all resources successfully to some controls, you shall see that it happens, it works. Time is very important on projects. Delay comes because of that, and of course many percentage of people in student status do not have superiority. They consider work as workship. They consider work first. They consider work first, formality first, fulfill requirement first. That should happen. How long it happens, you know it very well. Don't forget, these submissions are professional documentation. Every false or truth cannot be included. We have to devise assessment. We have to know what time it takes for delivery, what takes take for transportation from overseas. All those points are very significant. Same way, working drawing takes time, shop drawings takes time, and not only takes time, this takes time for approval also. Maybe sometimes there are rejection or comments which you have to incorporate again and submit. Practically speaking, major items that are involved must be completed during mobilization period itself, so that we have some items on site that are used for foundations and other structural arrangements. And when foundation is completed, that you can say person is healthy in mind who did it. Maybe engineer. Otherwise we can't get anything. It is engineering. To understand material, to understand drawings, to convert them to working drawings. Without that, how can you work? Without working drawings, you cannot do any services. So what I say is, this is also a point. But here's a point, notable point. Shop and working drawings submissions are delayed by contractor, which too is a normal state of projects. Signals are again 0 and 0. I don't know reason, but it is repeating again and again. Now very small signals have come, just 3 fps frame per second, which is too small for video. Now it is 30. It varies. You see, from beginning itself, since beginning it has been misperforming. I call it misperforming, when no uniformity, no consistency of approach. Shop and working drawings submissions are delayed by contractors, which too is a normal state on projects. But should be prevented by personal involvement, that is by leader of project. Leader of project. Contractor delays on submission of method statements required to be approved by supervising management team, but this is not acceptable. Since statements can be prepared in time, should qualified and experienced professionals are available on project staffing strength, there is no way we cannot complete writing method statements and processing these to state of approval, because approved documents only should be used on site and not other documents. So I repeat, contractor delays and submission of method statement required to be approved by supervising organization team, but this is not acceptable since statements can be prepared in time if qualified and experienced professionals are available on project levels, project strength. Site safety operations are not conducted adequately, which adequate care must be taken by safety divisions complying with safety plan and OSHA related rules and regulations. So what comes into now is all these plans. When we are talking of planning, planning means we talk of plans. It's not simply construction plan. It is site safety plan. It is site general plan or execution plan. It is site, you can say, project plan, site quality plan, site safety plan, and whatever we can do for our own support, we can do. You also can say method statement plan, though it's a part of construction plan, it's a part of quality plan, so there is no such way. Every plan that is required must be drawn. It's only for us to know what work is left. It's not that outsiders should know. It's a professional requirement. It must be known to everyone, whoever is in field. OSHA is safety institution. We have to comply with that. Occupational Safety Health Association, you may call it. This institution fixes guidelines and we have to comply with those guidelines. The same way quality system we are talking of and safety system we are talking of and quality plan we are talking of. All these are named only. But if you keep on thinking, you shall get a lot. Thinking and planning are your responsibilities. All these risks which you are defined, related issues can be checked by intensive engineering coordination. From very inception of award of contract to practical or mechanical completion of contract. We have to check all the time throughout. It's not that we checked in beginning and forget it later on. No. We have to keep continuous watch on all those activities in the room which have been ongoing. And even if they have spent many hours on that, this will reduce many difficulties on site. You use it and get your problem off. So what we say all these risks related issues can be checked by intensive engineering coordination minded, from very inception of award of contract to practical or mechanical completion of contract. Every leader responsible for task, every leader responsible for task should follow progress by all interactive persons, interactive persons to all times, all times, interactive persons all time, and status updated and commenced communicated to status communicated to all responsible key personnel. After all, it's responsibility, absolute responsibility. Every leader has to take care of. One should not say, I'm not leader, or I have been locked out of leadership. Cannot say that. As I said, leadership is a very important element, and everybody must be leader in itself. Every leader is responsible for tasks should follow progress by all interactive personnel, all time, and status updated and communicated to all responsible key personnel. Issues should be raised in internal as well as in external meetings. Issues should be raised in internal as well as in external meetings with all others whosoever involved. All minutes of meetings should be recorded and communicated to whosoever involved personnel formally. Later on, giving reminders and further follow-up of related activity update. Coordination, a very important point, as I say. Communication is very important point, as I say. Why said, in fact, an excellently performing coordinating engineer or organizer shall be required to appoint or to be appointed by both contractor and supervising agency, so that regular review of contract requirements and follow-up of resolutions may be made whenever be necessary. In fact, an excellently performing coordinating engineer or manager shall be required to be appointed by both contractor and supervising agency, so that regular review of contract requirements and follow-up of resolutions may be made whenever be necessary. It is very simple sentence but very important, because coordination itself is specialization, and it is not based on theoretical specialization. It's based on multidisciplinary, specific, project-based specialization, and it works very dynamically. It works very intellectually and very communicative. Communication is very basics of being a good coordinator. If communication is weak, coordinator cannot work.